Thank you for coming to our session on how to perfect your pitch. Today's workshop is sponsored by AXA Business Insurance, which just launched their 2023 AXA Startup Angel competition, where 2 businesses will win £25,000 to start up, mentoring from some of the UK's leading business owners, and a year of business insurance thanks to AXA. A big part of this competition entry is based on your pitch. So AXA wanted to give you the confidence to know that you can pitch perfectly. With us today, we have Raphael Sofuluke, the founder of the UK Black Business Show and the UK Black Business Week, as well as one of our judges and mentors for the AXA Startup Angel competition. We also have with us Megan Hale, the CEO of Team Repair, which was one of our 2022 winners of the Startup Angel competition. Just to get us started, I'm going to have Megan and Raphael give us an overview of their business background, because I know, Megan, you're still kind of at the pitching for investment stage, and Raphael, your business is a bit more mature and it's more sponsorship and corporate relationships that you're looking at. So you're going to have pretty different perspectives if you can give us a bit of background.
Brilliant. Thank you. So yeah, I'll give you a bit more information about myself and my business. So I'm the founder and CEO of UK Black Business Show and UK Black Business Week, which is the biggest business show in the UK and Europe for black business owners and professionals. So launched in 2017, really just to kind of create a space for black entrepreneurs and professionals to network on a large scale environment. A lot of the events that I went to at that point, whether it was the audience attending, the speakers, the sponsors, they all lacked, black representation, but also just diversity in general. So the show's pretty much doubled in size each year, and work with a lot of the big companies, the likes of JP to Amex, Ralph Lauren, EY, on not only making sure they're seen as an employer for black talent, but also helping them in terms of their talent attraction and also that retention piece as well. But yeah, really excited to be on this panel.
Hello, I'm Megan and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Team Repair, and we were lucky enough to win the AXA Startup Angel competition last year, which gave us £25,000 to start our business straight out of uni. So Team Repair is a sustainable program teaching children how to fix electronic gadgets and how science works through how real gadgets work. So a few weeks ago we launched our at-home subscription service, so parents can now sign up for our product and children receive broken gadgets to their home every month and they learn how to fix them using our app. But then also we're wanting to launch in schools funded by corporates, partners who want to increase diversity in STEM and reduce e-waste. Since finishing uni, we've been able to raise £100,000 equity-free funding. That's enabled us to get to the launch. And then more recently, we've been lucky enough to receive press coverage from BBC Breakfast, The Times, and the World Economic Forum. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Excellent. So that just gives you a bit of background as to who is speaking today and why they're kind of experts on the pitch. So a 2021 report by Wilbur Labs on why startups failed said that a lack of investor interest was the second biggest reason for failure, at 31% of small business owners citing this. One of the key ways people get investors interested in their business is through an elevator pitch. So we're going to look at this idea a bit more in depth now. So we're going to start with the most basic question. And Megan, can you kick us off? Because I know you do a lot of pitching. What's an elevator pitch?
Yeah, so an elevator pitch to me is 30 seconds of describing your business and exactly what you need at the moment. So the other week I actually had a literal elevator pitch where I was in the elevator and someone was in there, potential corporate sponsor, and I had to, from the bottom floor to the top floor, I had to explain the whole business in 2 sentences. So it sounds very easy just talking for 2 sentences to sum up your business, but I think it's so much harder than if somebody gave you a 10-minute pitch.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy because normally you think of the elevator pitch as a theoretical, but here's evidence. It happens in real life. So Raphael, as one of our Startup Angel judges, can you highlight why having a tried and tested elevator pitch ready to go is so important?
Yeah, I think just kind of exactly what Megan has said. She was literally in an elevator and she had to pitch her business. So having a pitch that you can being able to say your business within 1 to 2 minutes in a really concise way is extremely important. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what opportunities are going to come your way. So, 100% it's important to have an elevator pitch, but also it's important to have a longer pitch as well, which we're going to get onto. But I mean, yeah, Megan's pitch was fantastic, which was why she won the 25K.
Amazing. So for either one of you, when you are pitching, how do you adapt your pitch based on who you're speaking to?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in and then I think we was discussing this on the actually on the rehearsal. So when you're watching Dragon's Den and you see them come in and they pitch their business and you're like, straight away you're like, yeah, Steven's going to be the one that likes that business, or Tukar, etc. And that's not because their business is perfectly suited to them, but actually they've thought really kind of cleverly before, actually, what are the elements they can help me with? So it's important to adapt your pitch, because essentially you can get buy-in straight away from investors. We work with a lot of the big companies, and also we know what they're looking for as well, so we know how to talk to them. So it's also about knowing the language that they want to hear, and adapting to it as well.
Yeah, I'll add just one more point as well. Having a really clear call to action in every pitch is really important. So our pitches evolved so much from when we were doing university competitions, where we'd pitch and say, with this £10,000, we'll be able to pilot in this case study, and this will get us to this point. So just making sure whoever you're talking to, you can show them that you can tell them exactly what you need from them and where that will get you in the future as well.
Great. So AXA just released their 2023 startup report, and in it was a list of the top advice small business owners would give to others who were just starting out. Coming in third place was to believe in yourself, and that self-belief is something that can be really powerful when you're pitching. But pitching can also be a pretty nerve-wracking experience. So how do you project confidence when you're giving a pitch?
I think just fake it till you make it. So definitely practice over and over again. The amount of times I've practiced some of the pitches that we've done, especially when it's to an audience on the stage, is unbelievable. But definitely practice. But again, just get on that stage and think, I've got 2 minutes to describe my idea. I've got to just give it my all, just get out there. Even if inside you're screaming and you don't really feel very confident, you just have to keep going.
Yeah, I agree. I think, first of all, there's no way you can project confidence without practicing. So practice is firstly the first thing that you have to do. I remember when I done my first talk at an event. I think there was 300 to 500 people. My heart was literally shaking. I thought I was going to faint on stage. And that was literally because it was just the first time I had spoken in front of such a large audience. So for me, it's practice. Make sure you're actually putting yourself in positions that you wouldn't normally do. The more you do that, the more relaxed you're going to get. But also things like your body language. Like if I was sitting like this now, or if I started biting my nails, you lot would be like, this guy's finished. He's not going to do well on this stage. So it's important for you to, project the right body language. Just practice.
Absolutely. It sounds like both of you started out kind of nervous with public speaking. Have you found it's gotten easier over time? Do you get used to it eventually?
Yeah, I say the nerves are still there, but I always say that if you're nervous about something and something feels uncomfortable, that's almost a good thing, because it shows that you're putting yourself in scenarios that are making you grow as a person. So I've kind of flipped it as a positive. If I'm going into something and I feel like, I don't really want to do this, I'm thinking, no, think about the lessons I'm learning. This means that I'm going to get better at it. If I keep doing this, at some point it might feel comfortable. So yeah, not 100% the way there, but much better than I was this time last year.
Yeah, I think nerves are good as well at the same time. Just kind of thinking back to when I was at uni, things like a bit of stress is always good for you which helps you to kind of finish your exams or to perform at the level that you need to do. So I think you never really, the nerves never really go away, but it's important you don't let the nerves completely drown you, that you can't actually speak and deliver what you need to do to the judges or to your partners. And I also relate it to things like imposter syndrome. A lot of people have imposter syndrome, but also it's about finding your way how to deal with it. So, find your way how to deal with the nerves and you'll be able to speak in public confidently.
Absolutely. I think, Megan, you were saying doing something that's uncomfortable for you can be good, and there's that saying about how growth is what happens when you're at the edge of your comfort zone. And I think that applies to so many things like public speaking and pitching. So both of you have spoken a lot about how rehearsing is so important for getting comfortable with your pitch. What does your rehearsal process look like?
I'd say, is that still working? Yeah. We try and write our pitches quite early, so we've got something there that we can start practicing, and then finding as many people to pitch to, varied amounts of different types of people as well to practice that pitch. But really, it comes down to like the week before an event, just standing in a room and just going over and over it. Feels a bit stupid talking to yourself, but it definitely gets you more confident with that pitch when you get to the event.
Yeah, I think my rehearsal is very similar to like a play, really. Just kind of rehearsing in your room, making sure that you know your pitch out loud. There's sometimes you write a fantastic pitch, but actually when you say it out loud, it just doesn't land the same way that it is when it's written. So maybe you need to kind of edit it or change it. So I think it's, definitely making sure you rehearse it enough times to make sure that it's really, really smooth.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Sometimes when you write something and then you say it out loud, it just doesn't sound quite the same. So that makes a lot of sense to ensure that it feels smooth when you're saying it to someone else. Megan, I know you've talked quite a lot about question training. Can you talk about that as part of your process?
Yeah, sure. So we've got quite a process to our question and answer sessions now because we've done quite a few pitches, mostly competition pitches as well. And every time we pitch, we write down all the questions that we get asked and how in an ideal world we would have answered it, because you always get that when you're laying in bed at night after a pitch, think, oh, why didn't I say that? So we've now created a bank of questions, almost like flashcards when you used to revise at school, and now before any pitch I can go through that and think, okay, we've got asked this before, how will I do better this time? So really have a strategy, because and then you also notice that if someone's asking you the same question every time after your pitch, like, oh, how do you make money as a business? You think, maybe that's something I should put in my pitch and make more obvious. So yeah, definitely having a proper strategy, almost like a database of all the questions and answers. It's a very good idea.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. I'm going to bring it back to Dragons Den because I watch it all the time. But I know a lot of people just literally cringe when you hear them ask a question and you're like, you should know this. Like, you've come all this way, they've asked you about maybe your turnover or this or that, and you literally don't know. For me, it's important not only questioning, but also objection handling as well. Everything about your business, you should know. Any objections that they may have to it, you should have an answer to it if you're going in front of an investor. So I think that questioning and objection handling is so key to kind of get an investment from anyone.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea to make sure that you're not going to be kind of knocked off your feet if you have someone pushing back on your business. Make sure you know your why. So are there any questions that you think people should definitely be prepared for if they're going into a pitch? What comes up a lot?
Yeah, I think you should know your numbers 100%. I think it's so cringy if you don't know your numbers. Knowing your numbers. I think your audience, how big your audience is. Is this a company that, only serves London? Or actually, can this company serve UK, US, Germany, etc.? Knowing how big your audience, because actually it gives them an idea of, in terms of ROI, what they can expect from their money. So, for me, those are the main things that you should know, like your audience, also, how you're going to grow. One thing that I love to see on like decks is like the graphs of what you can do by yourself, but actually what you can do in terms of revenue with the investment. So things like that, you can portray that while you're pitching as well, which I think is really important.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the roadmap of how someone can get you to a place. So we literally on our pitch deck have where we've got to and like a timeline of every month, all the milestones we've reached, and then we have another bit at the end of the slide that's this is where we want to go, and we show that they're literally going to bridge that gap and they're going to take with their money or advice that they're giving us.
Yeah, so giving that very clear relationship between here's where I am and here's where you're going to bring me. Fabulous. So do you think that you need to create a deck when you have a pitch? Are there things or aids that you would usually use during a pitch to make it a bit better?
Yeah, if you're allowed to use a deck, then definitely use one. We love to have a deck that's as visual as possible, and that's, again, we've thought about the audience that we're pitching to. Usually if it's a competition, we want to show lots of pictures of kids with our product, them having lots of fun with our product, and not necessarily have lots of numbers on the slide. It's a completely different pitch deck if we're talking to a potential partner. And I think it's also a completely different pitch deck if it's a remote pitch rather than in-person pitch. But then sometimes you're not allowed a deck. We pitched at the Mayor's Entrepreneur Finals right near here in City Hall, and for that we were only allowed one screen with one picture. So always be prepared to not have a deck as well, and just you have to rely on the words that you're saying then.
Yeah, I think a deck is great when you've got the opportunity to share one. You know, everyone knows that people listen differently in terms of like seeing visual stuff and audio, etc. Sometimes it helps others to kind of see things. So for example, we've got our big exhibition and conferences. So if I'm kind of pitching now to AXA to sponsor maybe one of our stages, and I could show you a mock-up of how it's going to look like, that's perfect, right? But also a deck gives them an opportunity to go away, look at the numbers, look at things, take it to, you know, other external parties, because also we know with like packs and decks, normally for us in terms of like sponsorship, we know it's going through at least 3 or 4 hands, right? So it's going to the marketing manager, it might go to the CFO, it might go to someone above that, etc. So also making sure, I know I've gone into something else, making sure you design your media pack or your sponsorship deck in a way that every stakeholder that it's going to go through will see something that they like. So maybe a cheeky discount for the finance manager, maybe some great branding for the marketing manager, etc.
Yeah, I think that's so smart, and what really ties together what both of you have said is that adaptability, making sure that there's something for everyone or that it's tailored to the person you're speaking to. And I think that's come up a lot when we've talked about this, just making sure that you know who your audience is and doing that research. So I referenced an AXA report earlier that we've just done, and the biggest piece of advice that they have for people that are just starting up. So the second biggest piece of advice was to learn from your mistakes. So out of curiosity, have either one of you ever had a bit of a pitch fail where you were really caught off guard by something, or maybe didn't practice as much as you should have? I had one particular pitch fail. It was quite a long day and we had to pitch at the end of the day, and I'd just been a bit overconfident, not practiced enough. Then I got up on stage and I thought, oh no, I don't know what I'm saying, and just completely blanked. We still won the competition, don't know how, somehow got my way through it, but I think that sort of scenario really taught me, like, no, don't get too full of yourself. You still need to practice, you still need to put the time in if you want to get the rewards of the competition. So yeah, that was my fail.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can't think of a time where I failed, but essentially any time that I've presented a deck to someone and I haven't got money, I've failed, right? So I think those are times in which I've failed. But I also want to talk actually randomly about like an interview for a job I had at like when I was 22. And that was a big failure because I actually had to pitch because they gave you like a scenario where you have to pitch this event to a corporation. So I had to create a deck, but I got it completely wrong. And he was asking questions and literally I was saying the wrong answers. So I've always learned from that, like I never want to feel that way again. So I always make sure I prepare, make sure I understand the brief as well. So it was a thing where I looked at the brief and I didn't message him to say, okay, is this what you mean? Which, looking back in hindsight, I should have done. But it's all right. I'm happy I didn't get the job. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's important that those things happen to everyone. So if it happens to you, it's not the end of the world. Two really successful people up here that have had a fail. So no worries if that happens. It's part of life, and it sounds like you've both learned something from it, which is the really important thing. You don't let it knock you down. So how do you ask for feedback after a pitch? Even if it doesn't go successfully, do you still kind of seek out what could I have done better? What does that look like?
Yeah, always. If you win, there's still going to be something that when they were in the deliberation stages, they thought, oh, maybe they should be second because of this. So I always make sure we go up to our judges and say, oh, what did you think? What can we improve on? And then if it's even more important, if you don't get the money, reach out to them on LinkedIn. If you can talk to them face-to-face, drinks afterwards, perfect. So yeah, so important.
Yeah, I think feedback is definitely really important. I've also just remembered when Megan done her pitch, she really tailored it well actually to the judges, because I think she was just like, yeah, and Raf, from you, we want to learn this, and Sharmadine, we want to learn this, and from the Bosch guys, we want to, and we all was just like, oh, she really
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's a great way of kind of relating your deck to like the judges. But yeah, feedback is extremely important, even when you've smashed it, because actually that pitch might not be a great pitch to someone else. So just knowing where you can improve. No one's perfect really. So any feedback that I can get from companies, even with our shows, about how we can improve, how we deliver things for our clients. For me, I love it.
Yeah. Do you always take feedback on board, or do you have to sometimes sort through it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've got my operations manager here. I don't know if she would say I'll take feedback on board, but I feel like I do take feedback on board. Anything that can make me better, the organization better, I don't mind it. I may challenge it if I think I don't agree, but essentially I will always have to listen to it. And yeah, for me it's a crucial part of business, and it's a crucial part of growth as well in business.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, Sunny, I think we've been through stages where we've had so many opinions on the same thing, and they're so different. Especially we get lots of great help with mentors, but sometimes if you've met with 7 people who have told you contrasting things in a week, it does get a bit much. So something that we've got quite good at is having a mentor and thinking this is what they're helping us with, and segmenting it a little bit. So when you get that feedback, you know the people you trust the feedback, but then also you kind of know the way your business wants to go as well. I help out I go back to uni and help out lots of uni startups, and some of them, they're like, oh, we've changed this part of our business, we've changed our customer now, and I'm like, oh, why did you change that? And they're like, oh, a mentor told us that we should. And I'm like, well, what's your customer saying to you? Does that new group want to buy your product? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, maybe you should stick with the customer that you thought originally was the right customer. So yeah, advice is great, but sometimes you have to stick with your gut feeling on something.
Mm-hmm. So always worth listening to and kind of respectfully taking, but still knowing what your business purpose is and not deviating.
Can I just add? Yeah. Can I just add to that? I think exactly what you said. I think feedback it has to be from the right source,
mm-hmm.
but also when you're like an innovator and you're trying to affect change, sometimes not many people understand your business as well. When you're trying to do something new that no one has ever done. And I think back to kind of some of the feedback that I got earlier on in my business. I'm happy I didn't take that advice, because I had that gut feeling that this is how I wanted to do it, this is how I wanted to execute it. So I think it's about also, if you're getting feedback, make sure it's from someone who knows your industry. But even from someone who knows your industry, they might not understand what you're trying to do as well, if it's really, really unique.
Yeah, so it's finding that that balance between someone that you respect and really just knowing what your business purpose is, and sometimes knowing that what they're saying isn't quite right for you. So sticking to your guns, it's that confidence again, that self-belief that what your business is what you want to do. So I think that's really important to know. So I think one of the last few things that we're going to do, because it's really nice to see for those that are interested in learning more about pitching, is a really great pitch. So as we said, last year Megan was one of our Startup Angel winners, and part of that application was a pitch. She's going to do that pitch for us so that we can hear it, and then we're going to get some feedback from Raphael, who actually judged it, about what he liked in that and if there's any room for improvement there. So when you're ready, Megan, let's hear it.
I don't know if you mind, I've changed what I'm going to do a little bit. So I thought, because of the audience here today, I should try and adapt my pitch to the corporate people that will be here. And we've got our new mission of trying to get corporate partners to sponsor underfunded schools to have our program. And I know that you're an expert in that. So I wondered if I could do my elevator pitch for corporates and get some advice. Is that all right? Okay, it's also written down because I wrote it at the lunch break today. So, Team Repair is a sustainable program teaching children how to fix electronic gadgets and the science behind how stuff works. We send children broken electronic gadgets, and it's their job every month to work out what's wrong and how to fix it using our app. One of our key goals at the moment is partnering with corporates to fund our program in the many underfunded schools on our waitlist. So, if you're a corporate looking for a unique CSR opportunity to create real impact, then join us on our journey and help us to fix the future.
All right. Go ahead. I saw some applause starting. Yeah, applaud that.
Yeah. I'm going to give you my money. I'm giving you all my money. Yeah, I think it was a really good pitch. I think she clearly gave us who her audience was, the objective of the company, and she brought in, the client as well. She told them how they can help her, how they can join the journey with her as well. One thing that I love that I do in kind of like speeches and talks is, asking them a question, because you get them to think, about, oh, can I help solve this? So yeah, I thought it was a brilliant pitch. Yeah.
Great. I think I like what you're saying about asking a question, because in marketing we find that a lot too. A question really hooks people in, a great way to start things. I know when we talked about your pitch during our rehearsal of this, there was a lot about how it's very emotive, it draws people in and kind of plays on the heartstrings a little bit, because it's about fixing the future and talking about kids, and that in itself is just the nature of your business, so it's very good to be able to bring that out more often. So Raphael, it's your third year as a judge for the Startup Angel competition. Is there anything that after a few years of judging makes you roll your eyes when you see it in a pitch? You don't want to see any more of that.
What makes me roll my eyes? I think I've said it earlier. I think bad numbers annoys me. When the numbers don't add up, that annoys me. Also not knowing your audience, so when they're asking, okay, how many people does your audience serve, and you don't know, I think those are the main things, less than things like confidence, etc., because sometimes people are not confident, sometimes people don't know how to pitch, but they've got a great business, and you've seen those people also get investment as well at the same time. But when you clearly do not know your business, or you haven't prepared, because sometimes it's just that you haven't prepared, maybe you do know your business, those are the things that kind of, I'm like, no. Because if you don't know your numbers, then how am I supposed to give you money? Yeah.
That I think sounds fair enough. So at this point, I think we're going to see if anyone has any questions that are sitting out here. If you have a question, let me know. Raise your hand. I'll bring you the mic. All right. Can I steal that from you? Thank you.
Right, thanks for that. It was really interesting. I was just wondering if you're doing a bit of a longer pitch, say for investment or something like that. I know you're saying about being flexible and tailoring it, but also do you have a general approach of things that you need to cover? So set up the problem, this is why we solve that problem, this is what we're after, etc., etc. Do you have a kind of general outline that you always use, or is it different every time?
Yeah, so I think we definitely have a general outline. We've changed it quite a bit, because we've always had the issue that we're solving two problems, and lots of people say start with the problem and then get to your solution, but we're solving the e-waste problem and also the STEM diversity problem, lack of diversity. So I think, we've had to tailor which problem that we talk about, but the same structure of the pitch is the same. Some advice I got one time about pitch creation is, if you have structure like problem, solution, market, USPs, if you have that and then put post-it notes about everything you'd possibly want to talk about that point, and then you think about the audience, and then you go down and think, okay, for this audience they'd like this problem, take off all the other post-its and you've got that one that you want to talk about. It's quite a nice visual exercise to put down all of your thoughts and really streamline exactly what you want to say for that conversation.
Yeah, I think so. Again, we kind of pitch for like sponsorship of like big clients, some big corporations, but for our deck, it's very important. I've seen some decks where they put how much they put how much money they want first, and then start telling the story. For me, that doesn't make sense. For me, it's important for you to tell that story, and then at the end, ask for the amount. So portray the value that you're showing. You know, this is what we do. This is how we're going to grow. This is how big the audience is. So yeah, for me, and again, it varies from client to client how long the deck is as well. But it's about also that initial call as well, finding out more information about what they do, etc. You know, how they can help you. You know what expertise in industries do they have networks in. So yeah, I mean, yeah, for me it just kind of varies in terms of how you put the deck, but I'm very kind of like, make sure you ask for the money last and tell the story first.
Great. Are there any other questions? All right.
Hello, that was really great and really insightful. From where you are now, what's the biggest difference that you've done in your pitch from your first ever pitch to your last pitch that you've done?
My goodness. There we go.
I think now I'm coming into the conversations on the front foot, and that only kind of goes with experience, because now I can, if I'm speaking to a client, if I'm speaking to, for example, Michael Kors, I can name drop that, yeah, but I'm already working with Burberry and Ralph Lauren, and so having the weight behind you goes a long way, but also with that comes a lot more confidence, right? So I'm saying my pitch more confident. You know, the wording that I'm using, I'm saying, you know, and this is what you'll get, you know, not, and you might get, you might meet 1,000 people. So I'm confidently saying you're going to meet 6,500 people at our flagship show, you know. So I think it's the confidence, having the history behind the business as well, and I think that kind of resonates with them. They see it when they speak to me as well.
I think we've gone through a stage that we had the same pitch deck for ages. We were at uni, we had the same pitch deck until probably a few weeks ago. And then 2 weeks ago, I sat down and thought, actually, this pitch doesn't feel like us and it doesn't feel like me. And I want something that feels authentic about like the business and the way I want us to be portrayed. So what we used to have was the typical pitch where you talk about the problem. We're saying there's 50 million tons of e-waste being thrown away every day. There's this, and this. And yeah, that creates impact. But what I've now changed the pitch to is talking about all 5 of the co-founders. And when we were little, we enjoyed fixing stuff, and that's what got us to be engineers. And I feel when pitching both versions of the pitch, I can look at people's faces and see the difference in reaction of when I'm just talking about numbers and this big e-waste problem, and then in contrast getting pictures of myself when I was 5 up on the screen and talking about how I grew up. So yeah, I think really adapting it but based on people's reactions is definitely a great way to start.
That's great. Yeah, I think there's a lot that you guys have been talking about storytelling in the pitch and how that's really helpful, and that's kind of been a common thread. Do we have any other questions? Okay, great. Well, if there are no other questions, we'll end it. Thank you guys so much for attending AXA's session on perfecting your elevator pitch. If you want to find out more about Startup Angel, which we've talked about a few times here, or you have some business insurance questions, our stand is literally right there. As you exit, it'll be to your left, so feel free to stop by and say hello to us. So thanks again for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your time at SME XPO.